Salutations and welcome Game Maker programmers. Have you ever been stuck in the creation of your glorious exe file as you believe Game Maker doesn't support the feature you want it to have? Isn't it the most frustrating when nothing in the help file indicates you how to do it and absolutely no extension or DLL has been built to overcome this? So you have no choice but to come in one of those forums and wait desperately for a reply to show up. Even though GameMaker totally supports it very greatly, you were just too stupid to figure it out, you twat. While they most of the time don't serve a lot of uses, they are certainly something you shouldn't forget about. And so for the uses, they're a better organized version of alarms and with more functionalities like looping, reversing, and being successfully sent back to a previous moment and usable by different objects. And of course, a timeline is pretty ridiculous to use with only one moment and one single object to which it is applied. But the day you'd want a big set of alarm events going one by one and multiple object types for it to be applied, instead think of how much more practical it would be to simply create one timeline. While you might be a frequent user of repeat, while, do and for loops, you might rarely ever think of using switch, or even have never heard of such thing before. So if you didn't know, the switch statement grabs your variable or function, and each case statement within its borders executes the next piece of code if the values are equal. Usually used for the variable keyboard key, it holds many advantages over a blunt set of ifs. It looks less loose in a piece of code, instantly describes what it is going to do, as again, it has only one variable or function to take into account and test its value, and it's simply just much cooler to use. I mean, having been able to squish a switch statement somewhere in your code in a way that makes sense is quite an achievement actually. This piece of code brings a pause menu in which the player can change the game's volume by pressing up and down, and quits the game after a small transition if the player hits escape, and of course comes back to normal game if P is pressed again. Number 8. irandom C-wide. Is there really anything else I'd have to say for this? That alone is already pretty convincing to me at least. Yee random colors, woo! Number 7. Library Maker. The unexpected NuMe helper actually holds a pretty obscure but important role, or should I say I've had a very important link to it. So let me tell you a story. Once I was 12 years old, I didn't know anything about coding in GameMaker. I just used the default GameMaker actions and dealt with what I had. But one unexpected day where I visited the family and I saw my glorious game-making cousin, who had already told me the ways of GameMaker many years even before, and I saw him fuck up some terrible 3D library extension. And as I saw him experiment with the program, I told myself, might as well give it a try. 808 actions in 12 libraries in 1 year. You could say I worked really hard on it. But how could I ever do so much with so little knowledge of the GameMaker language? Well, I first started with simple variables, and then once I wanted to do more complex stuff, I read myself some GameMaker help, made the actions, and went to create another one. And so on and so forth and such. I read the entirety of the GM help file and was able to memorize it in this fashion and such. I was now able to code in GML, and I also learned to read English in the process. I do not have any more moral. I'll just let you conclude by yourself. Good, I'm getting really fast here. Yes, I spent the entire holidays working on just speaking, and there I just do it in one go. Oh, that's terrible news. Number 6, extended particle